You said that different body types are attracted to different sports, but the interesting thing about martial arts is that we see champions of all sorts of body types in all sorts of martial arts. So, do you think that that martial arts are exception to the rule?
Yes. When it comes to actual mano-a-mano fighting, all physique types have their certain advantages. That's the cool thing about fighting. You know, you can be slow with slow twitch and great endurance and still be successful, and you can be incredibly explosive with a fast twitch muscle fiber and be incredibly successful. You can be relatively weak, but if you're really flexible with high skill, you can be successful. I mean, look at Nick Diaz, for example. Man, one of my favorite fighters. The guy is tall, he's skinny, he's not particularly strong, but he has amazing leverage. The way he uses his body is beautiful. He's not particularly fast. He's not even explosive. He does not have explosive knockout power, but yet look at the way that he wins his fights. It's really, really fun to watch that guy fight. It's just an example, you know. But then you have guys like Vitor Belfort or the Russian guy from
Fyodor.
Yeah, Fedor.
Yeah.
You know, a guy. I mean, no offense to Fedor, and if you're out there, Fedor, man, you know, I'm a big fan. But you look like someone's dad that they drug off a bar stool out of the bar. Said, "Hey, do you want to do you want to have a fight?" I mean, he looks like, you know, like your dad or somebody. You know, I mean, the guy obviously has amazing attributes. So, you know. You of course you can't tell from looking, right? never judge a man by his physique or the way he looks. So yes, every physique type, you know, short, tall, really lean, a little bit fat. I mean, you know, you've seen some pretty fat guys that can really move good, you know. Of course, that doesn't mean that they wouldn't be better if they were a little bit leaner, and that doesn't mean that the skinny guy wouldn't be better if he was a little stronger. But everyone has it's an equal opportunity sport, you might say.
Yeah. Well, I was too surprised by Nick Diaz because I would never have guessed that a guy with high level endurance and not much speed and explosiveness would be such a great champion, and possess such great skills. I wouldn't believe it because I thought you need to have speed for MMA, but no, he really showed otherwise. What would be your advice to MMA fighters, BJJ fighters, you know, martial artists that want to compete? What would you advise them fitness-wise? What do you want them to stay clear of? And what would you advise them to do correctly when preparing for competition?
The biggest problem with all martial athletes, this includes wrestlers, judo players, even boxers, some full contact karate, there's always a tendency to want to overtrain. First of all, most people that do these sports love the sport. We like to do what we love. But there's a tendency to overdo. There's this false idea that if a little bit is good, more is even better. You know, you hear the old thing, well, you know, if I'm training a certain number of hours, you know, I got to assume my opponent is training so many hours, so I got to train even more than him. But it's not the amount of training that is going to make you good, especially when it comes to the conditioning aspect. It's the rest phase between the conditioning that is going to make you better. Now, agreed, the guys that train the most are the best. There's no doubt about that. But you have to be smart about the way you train. It cannot be hard training all the time. The really smart guys will have a couple hard trainings a week, and then they will back off and work a lot of skill rehearsal. You know, like basketball players, for example. You know, those guys can make a shot from any angle. You know, they're constantly practicing and throwing the basketball, but dribbling and throwing a basketball is not particularly hard. They'll run wind sprints a couple times a week, and they'll do hard games, you know, once in a while, but they're not driving up and down the basketball court every day for a couple hours a day. Well, that's the way the fighters should train too. You know, if you're jiu-jitsu, you practice from every position, but you don't have to train hard every day. If you try to train hard every day, you're going to burn out. There's no doubt about it, and a lot of guys do, and they know. once you start to get overtrained, it takes a long time to come back. Give you an example. True overtraining is devastating to the body. There was a very famous runner, and he was so grossly overtrained, he took a year off. A year off. When he came back after a year, he set a PR.
With no training in between?
Nothing. Because he was just so beat from just overdoing it. But jiu-jitsu guys are similar to that runner all the time. MMA guys too. They just literally work themselves into an exhausted state. Because training is very innervating. You are literally taking some of your life force and diminishing it every time you train. And if you're doing this constantly, there's a term called enervation, where you're literally taking your life force and you're shortening your life.
When you say life force, what exactly do you mean?
Well, without getting too esoteric,
Yeah.
but I mean, you've heard the word ki or chi. Yeah. The yogis use pranayama. You have an essence that makes you up. If you have religious belief, in the afterlife, the part of you that is left after the physical body dies, there's a certain element or an energy that makes all of us up that has nothing to do with this flesh body or our name or our occupation. That's what I'm talking about, the life essence or the life force.
Okay.
The prana inside each person.
Oh, okay. So I have to consider what you just said about injuries and overtraining. I have to 100% completely agree with this, because I am the example of this. I had 2 knee surgeries. I had 2 knee surgeries, 1 elbow surgery. I had a really bad cervical neck injury, and these are only the major ones. I had 110 minor ones. So this is 100% right.
Now, some injuries, to be fair, can't be blamed particularly in overtraining. I mean, things happen.
Yeah.
You cannot do a violent sport like MMA or boxing or karate or jiu-jitsu or wrestling and not expect things to happen unexpectedly. A lot of sports, you basically control your own destiny, like in fitness type sports and things. But when you're competing with another person, there's the other person element that comes into it. And you can't control what they do or what they don't do sometimes. So there's always that risk, that element that you cannot control. So yes, bad things happen sometimes. Some people who don't overtrain also get hurt. But there's no doubt that when you're chronically overusing certain joints, certain muscles, and so forth, that you're going to wear it down, and it is more prone to an acute injury. And you see it all the time, man, all the time. And I'm speaking from a position where I've done this to myself, so it's not like I haven't experienced this. I mean, I've been there, done that. I have actually permanent bone deformities that will be with me for the rest of my life as the result of, just being overzealous, just too over-enthusiastic, just pushing so much.